Quick question, Ben.
Yes.
Okay to drop my contact information?
Yes, actually, that would be the next thing I would suggest here. Now that
Okay.
we're done with our networking, we ask that everybody put into the chat, and I may even have um, well, let me go ahead and move along here because I've got a note about this coming up. But go ahead and put into the chat your information. Um, I'm going to start moving toward the uh, sponsors, but I always like to pay homage to Gene Guarino. Gene he was instrumental in the founding of the REL Academy, the REL National Association, and introduced thousands of people to the model of the residential style assisted living. Gene's motto was do good and do well. Gene's the gentleman that got me interested in assisted living, and that was 10 years ago. And I certainly appreciate everything that he did for the industry. So I thought I had a little slide in here about the chat, but apparently I don't. So at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the little chat button there. So if everybody would put their information in there, who you are, where you're from, your email, and your phone number. Then as a guest tonight, you can click on that chat, and where you put the information in, there's what looks like a little actually it's a file folder underneath where it says message everyone. And if you click on that file folder, then you can save that chat as a text file, and you'll have the contact information of everybody that you met tonight. So please do put your information in there. Moving on here, I invite everybody to visit our website, dollar.com. It has a lot of information in there, particularly if you are in Colorado. And if you are in Colorado, you want to make sure that you go to this part right here, the helpful links. As an operator in Colorado, you need to know these two rules and regulations, Chapter 7 and Chapter 2. These are all the rules and regulations in Colorado that you need to operate by. So you should know it like the back of your hand. And we invite everybody to join our Facebook page, which is under Denver ALR. Of course, this is our social media. Please join that and participate. And we do appreciate you signing up through Meetup, those of you that did. And please, if you could give us some feedback on the meetings, we always want to know what you would like to see in the future and how we did with our meetings. And next, I want to talk about our sponsors. And we actually have a couple of them here tonight to share. Our first sponsor is our speaker tonight. Brett, you want to chat a little bit about your assisted living mansion?
Sure. Well, I'm going to be talking about it a little bit tonight, so I won't dive too much into it, but my name is Brett Chotkevys. I'm in the Austin, Texas area. I build and operate assisted living mansions, and I'll share a bit more about that with you tonight. But I help people build these across the country. We have some people here tonight who I team up with and are building mansions together with. So you can hit me up or the website at assistedlivingmansion.com. There's a bunch of free resources and trainings there to help you along with raising money, deal selection, all that kind of stuff if you're just getting started.
Brett, are you still using the Palm.University website?
No, we switched over to assistedlivingmansion.com.
Okay. And do you still have all those training videos that you had on the Palm.University?
Yep. It's just redirected through the new website.
Terrific. So I will say, if you're already an operator, then Brett's got some fantastic training videos that you should check out. Great knowledge there. So please check it out. Not at Palm.University, but now assistedlivingmansion.com. And next we have REL National Association. If you are a member of this, you get free newsletter. They have some great purchasing power on here. There's a place that you can put your facility on there as a national directory, and you go to ralna.com or ralna.com. If you are new in this space, and we recommend you go to RAL Academy. This is like basic training for assisted living. So ralacademy.com, or there is a link on our website directly to them. Next is assisted living marketing. And with more than a decade of experience, they have customized services that work for small, large, and multi-location communities. Assisted living marketing is your trusted partner for digital and print marketing in the assisted living industry. And next we have senior care administrator coaching. This is Janet Cornell. Janet, would you like to say a few words about your company?
Yes, I do consulting here in Colorado. I have actually helped some people outside of Colorado. When I started to see that people need forms of some type, they need care plans, incident reports, medication takeout forms, med card audits. So I added those all to my website if you need those. Those are not actually, they're not Colorado specific. So that's what I do for places. I also, I talked to Ernest a little bit about, we have some interesting things going on here in Colorado. So I talked to him a little bit about how to make that mortgage payment, maybe that you didn't think of ideas, such as independent housing mixed with assisted living housing. So anyway, if you want to talk to me, I put my information in the chat and I'll be happy to help you out.
Thank you, Janet. I'll say that Janet is a wealth of knowledge, and she will also do a mock survey, and we recommend this to all of our clients. Have Janet come and go through your facility.
Yep.
Because if the state comes through your facility and finds something wrong, it can cost you thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Janet can point out all of those problems before the state gets there, and she's way cheaper than the state.
Yep. And I actually have done a mock survey virtually for a company. We had the form and somebody walked through the facility with the form. So that was fun. Doing a mock survey in a place in Seattle, which was screaming amounts of fun virtually. So we can do that. Colorado has one of the strictest standards for regulations. So if you can make it work in Colorado, you can probably make it work every place. And I do teach the 40-hour administrator class. And then I started a new class of administrator designee. It's all the things you need to do to fill in for your administrator when he or she is not there. So that's fun.
Great. Thanks, Janet.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have the investment community of the Rockies, icorockies.com. Although I just found out on Saturday they're going through a name change. But ICOR is Colorado's only nationally recognized and award-winning real estate investors association, serving Denver Metro, Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, and Northern Colorado, as well as real estate and rental property investors across the state. I've been with these guys for over 10 years. It's a great group. So check out icorockies.com. And next we have Colorado's, although not necessarily only Colorado's, assisted living lawyers at pinkowskilaw.com. They help developers and operators of assisted living and group homes locate and establish their facilities so that they can focus on the business of caring for people. They will act as your advocate or work with your local council to encourage compliance with Fair Housing Act provisions. That's a really big deal. If you have an HOA that you're fighting, fair housing will overrule them. If you have zoning that you're fighting, fair housing can overrule them. So check out pinkowskilaw.com and talk to Brian or Michelle Pinkowski. And next we have A Better Way Funding. And this is you can check out the information on ralleaseoptions.com. This is our triple net lease option program that we offer at A Better Way. And basically what it is you can lease the property for a number of years and then exercise an option to buy it in the future. We've helped many, many operators expand their business. Some of our stars have obtained well over a dozen properties in this fashion and been able to grow their business from 2 properties to 24 properties. That's our top operator. so we can help you as well. ralleaseoptions.com. And this is kind of the parent of that, our ABW Senior Investments. And we are doing the triple net lease option. So if you're interested in investing in a passive investment, then we can help you out with that. We do have 3 opportunities. However, they are all sold out right now. We are working on more opportunities all the time. So if you need to put your money to work, then give me a call. You can see my number down there. It's also in the chat. And this is my business, Grand Avenue Business Brokers, where I hang my license at A Better Way Realty. I've got over 30 years of business experience. I've done over 80 assisted living transactions, which is well over 100 million. I'm a certified business intermediary and certified senior housing investment professional, level 2. And of course, my specialty is assisted living. And we have been really busy this year. You can see we've closed quite a bunch, and we have under contract quite a bunch, over $27 million currently under contract. Our biggest deal there is actually, I've got about 4 of these deals closing the first week of October, knock on wood. So if you're looking for a passive investment, again, give me a call. And last, we want to talk a little bit about news from CALA. CALA is the Colorado Assisted Living Association, and we're blessed tonight to have its president, Janet Cornell. Janet, would you like to say a few words?
Yep, I am the current president of CALA, Colorado Assisted Living Association. We primarily represent the smaller companies, although we are making great ground. Our biggest company is 165 beds. So we used to be the smalls, but we are making great strides here in Colorado. In the last 2 years, we have worked with our legislators to pass 2 bills that helps our smalls and our large places. We have portability and training, which takes some of the topics that somebody's trained in at a different facility like Brookdale, and they can move those certificates to yours. So it should save you 8 to 10 hours worth of training in Colorado. And then our most recent success was FGI. Vern loves FGI, Facility Guidelines Institute. We recently got a bill passed that if you buy a home in Colorado and it has an existing license and you want to expand the bed size from 10 to 12, from 15 to 20, whatever, 50 to 60, whatever it is, you can do that without having to be tangled up with FGI. FGI tried to get themselves in the middle of that, and we came back with a big no and pulled it through our legislators last year and our government process. And it was signed by the governor because we need more affordable housing and we need more assisted living beds in Colorado. So now if you buy a facility, Ernest, like you have your home, if you could take one of those bedrooms and make a shared bedroom, which is 120 square feet, you don't have to go through the FGI process any longer. So we are so excited about that. In Colorado, we have a pretty active association. We're doing a workshop in Grand Junction. We've done them in Fort Collins. If you just want to sign up and get our notifications, you can. If you want to attend our Tuesday trainings, you can. But like I said before, unfortunately, Colorado has one of the strictest set of regulations in the nation. I think we're number 6. So if you're behind us, we could educate you on how to run your assisted living with our in compliance with our regulations, which will, pretty much make you compliant wherever you're at. So there you go.
Thanks, Janet. Did I hear you say that? I thought the bed count increase was only for the small operators, but you said,
you know what? Okay, here's what happened. We have another assisted living association called CHCA. Well, I met with them and said, here's what we're doing. And Doug said, okay, yeah, right. He didn't think we'd get traction. And then we got traction on it. And then he jumped on board in the 11th hour. I said, Doug, you're going to get a black eye because this is 19 beds and under. Here's Cala's bill. And you didn't help us. And now you're going to get a black eye because it's 19 and under. He jumped in at the 11th hour and got it all assisted livings, all of them. Yeah. So it's all assisted livings in Colorado. If you want to increase your bed size, you don't have to go through FGI, which, sorry, Vern, I didn't know you didn't know that, or I would have let you know. But Doug Farmer jumped in. He's the one that runs CHCA, and Leading Age jumped in at the last minute. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's a pretty big deal. I think I met Doug years ago.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. So we're still working on that. We're chipping away at our FGI process to include sprinkler systems this next year, we hope. So we're still working on that.
Cool.
Cal is we've since I've been president, we're 2 for 2. We've filed 2 bills and both of them have been passed. So we're pretty proud about that. So.
Good work, Janet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're ready for the real stuff. I met Brett a few years ago, and he's been gracious enough to be one of our sponsors and we try to get him in here at least twice a year. And I went to Austin, Texas last week for the NIC conference, and Brett happens to be down there in Austin. So I called him up and said, "Can I come see your house?" And he was very gracious to meet me over there. Beautiful house, probably the most beautiful assisted living residential style that I've ever seen. So great job, Brett.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to take the wheel and run with it.
Absolutely. So, pleasure to be here, everybody. Thank you, very much. Appreciate you. And I'm glad you came out to the mansions. So I'm going to be talking tonight a little bit about my journey and how to build mansions. If I'll share my screen a little bit here and I'll show you a virtual tour of our mansion. So if I am small and you see like lots of different screens, you can hit that 3 little dots and you can hit the pin button and it'll make me big on your screen. So when I share a screen, it is easier for everyone. So it's a little housekeeping kind of thing there. But I'm not going to bore you with a PowerPoint or anything like that. We'll show you the mansion and things like that. But here's my topic for you this evening. I really kind of want to share my story, my journey on how we are doing a $30 million deal in profit. And that's not 30 million in sales price, that's 30 million in profit. So I want to share how we're doing that. And that's really by building this neighborhood of assisted living mansions. And that was something that I grew into over the last, several years. And I want to share that with y'all and really kind of show you that there are bigger deals out there. There is a path to do some of these really bigger deals. And I want to kind of just encourage you to think a little differently and show you another option and hopefully inspire you to do something bigger, do something life-changing. We all start in the same spot, right? Like we all start looking at some of these smaller little assisted livings, hoping we're trying to get our first deal. And I've gone through several of these different options and I want to kind of share and talk through that tonight, but ultimately kind of show you what we are doing now and how we are scaling this across the country. And it's the numbers are crazy strong. So this is for people who really want something big in their life. They're looking for a big life-changing thing. They're looking for a big challenge to overcome. This is for people who want significance, right? Like we are helping so many people. Like I know a lot of you guys here on this call you're doing it. You're making a difference. You're helping grandmas and grandpas. You're helping the families. I want to help you make amazing money, but I want to help you make a difference in your community. I want to show you how to do a one and done deal. Like literally this one deal, right? This one deal gets you to financial freedom. This one deal sets up millions of dollars in equity in the real estate and the operations. So you go to sell and you have, literally a couple $1 million or more. That's like, all right, now I've done the hard work. I did the thing. I ran it. I sold it. And now like, do I 1031? Do I move on to something else? Do I do something passive? Do I retire? Do I travel the world? I want to show you how you can do one big deal that really just sets you up for the rest of your life, or you keep it and you hand it off to your children. You do something significant in that way. So I want to get in a little bit this evening about this and show you really how you can do a big deal, a really a one and done kind of deal. I want to share some of the numbers behind those things on the different stages that I've gone through. I want to share with you some of the lessons learned on these things, some of the challenges and some of the successes, and really have a model, a path for you to say, okay, here's how we did this, right? Because I'll show you some of the numbers later. I didn't come in with any of my own money. I did all of these things. Again, we're going to exit with $30 million. I did all of these things without bringing in any of my own capital. So I want to show you the systems and the structure and how to do that. We have plenty of time. I won't talk too long. So we have plenty of time to ask questions. If you want to specifically get into, the funding and the investors and all that kind of stuff, how does a normal person afford to do these kind of deals. And I'm happy to kind of share all of that kind of stuff as well. So to kind of kick off here, my background was in real estate. It was not in assisted living. I, used to, through college, waited tables, do all that stuff, and had no real, 9-to-5 kind of job. I got into house flipping. And so I did house flipping for a few years. And while I was flipping houses and it's a grind, right? You're always looking for the next deal. There's no reoccurring income. So you buy something, awesome, you flip it, you sell it, you make some good money, and then it goes back to the drawing board, right? You're spending lots of money on marketing, and you're just always in this trap of like, I got to get my next deal. I got to get my next deal. And I see people in the real estate space, they're talking about assisted living. They're talking about, residential assisted living. They're talking about this opportunity. There's all these baby boomers coming, right? There's a silver tsunami. And I'm like, man, I'm just doing these like little flips, and I got, a dozen rentals, and I'm making $300 a door on this thing. But, have all these things that are going wrong, and I got to replace the roof and all these things. I'm like, man, I thought I was going to hit financial freedom by having a dozen rentals, and it just doesn't feel like it's ever going to happen, right? Like, I want one big deal. I want a one and done deal. That's what I was looking for. And, I loved real estate. I loved doing that kind of stuff. I wanted to build something, and I wanted to help people. That was really my two things. Like, how do I combine these things? And I know I can do it in assisted living. I don't really know the path for it. And so I was kind of cautious on this. I heard a lot about this residential assisted living model, and I hadn't done anything yet, but I wanted to do it. And I struggled with it because I couldn't figure out how to make the math work, right? I was living in California. I'm looking at all these different assisted livings that are 6 beds. And I'm thinking like, okay, a lot of these are, $5,000 a month. That's 30 grand. Okay, that sounds good. But then I start adding up the labor and everything and the food and the insurance. And I'm like, man, like, I don't see how I can really make any money here. I feel like I can probably make 5 or 6 grand, but as soon as I have one vacancy, it looks like I break even. And Lord help me, like 2 people pass away. What happens now? Am I not able to make my mortgage payment? And I just got stuck. I got stuck on the sidelines, and I actually spent like 2 years kind of staying on the sidelines, trying to figure out, how do I make this work? I'm seeing 6 beds. I don't really get it. I'm seeing 8 beds. I still don't really get it. Everyone in California here, that's what they're doing. They're just doing the 6 beds, but I see them having to get to, 3, 4, 5 of these in order to make a good salary for themselves. And I'm like, man, like, I should just keep with my rentals at $300 a month, right? Like, I don't know about all of this kind of stuff. So I want to share with you my perspective on this. And if you guys are in this industry and you're running small assisted livings, this is not against what your model is, but I want to hopefully open your mind to another option that I went down the school of hard knocks trying to figure out, and have done amazing with, and have scaled. And it's in my opinion, it's awesome. The numbers are phenomenal. So I want to share a little bit on that. So, man, I spent some time. I stayed on the sidelines. I started getting some more research into it, and I couldn't figure out how to make that work on the 6 bed, the 8 bed. I actually bought a property thinking I was going to do an 8 bed, and decided not to do that. So I felt kind of stuck on the sidelines. Then after that, I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to move my family to Texas. Texas, they're doing all these 16 beds out there, right? And so I moved to Texas. I bought this property, and I'll show you it here in a minute or so. But it's this property on Mesa, and it was this 3,500 square foot, single family ranch house. And really what we did was a big home conversion on this. And let me actually share my screen, and I'll show you this property and how we did this. And I actually still own this and built out this property here. So this over here on the right was the original 3,500 square foot building. We added all this over here. So this is about 6,300 square feet now. It is 15 private rooms, and all of this was a big addition. And so we built this in 2019. We have been running this for about 5 years. And this is Platinum Resort. This is the first assisted living that we did. And it has been phenomenal for us. This has been a one and done deal that I kind of talked through, right? So what we did was we have all private rooms here. We have half baths in all of these bedrooms. We have this gorgeous wide open concept, lots of glass. We put in a salon in this building here. We have really good sized rooms, so I can kind of pop you into one of these guys here. Large rooms, we have the salon, we have a chef in this building, and this was the addition going down the hall here. And instead of having like all these packed rooms, we did this big glass wall with this outdoor area. So you can see the backyard as we pop into here. And this just really nice, peaceful kind of home conversion. And in my mind, I thought, hey, okay, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm doing this, home conversion here. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what, this is like a super REL, right? It's not just a normal REL, right? 6 or 8 beds. This is a super one, right? And in my mind, that's kind of how I'm justifying it. And I think I'm telling you this because it's almost like a series of dominoes as my mind was continuing to expand and expand and expand and try and push for something bigger. So we did all private rooms. We did the chef. We did the salon. And this has been phenomenal for us. We actually moved away from this residential model that I was kind of stuck in my mind. It was a roadblock to this commercial model. So we're in an area where we're considered commercial. We have a bunch of commercial fire suppression. We have commercial septic. We're zoned, we're classified commercial with the city. And I think that was kind of a mental hoop I had to get over. I'm not doing, even though I'm converting a house, I'm not doing a residential assisted living from the zoning perspective, right? So what we did and what I think really has made a phenomenal difference is it wasn't just about the building, right? Like we pioneered this model called, the memory care mansion. And I learned this as I was kind of getting started. I did not go into it thinking this, but really there's two things that we do in assisted living. We have the physical product and we have the service, right? These two things. And I think a lot of smaller operators, they're just thinking about the physical product, just the house. You get your room, you get a shared room, you have your ADLs. What we do and we teach people to do is essentially we compete with the big smelly facilities. We can beat the Brookdales, the big boxes. We compete and we beat the big luxury new construction facilities in our cities. And here's kind of what I mean by that is we now offer all of the same care and amenities that you could get at one of the big 60-bed facilities, right? We have memory care, we have the locks, we have our own private chef, we have a house doctor that comes in every single week, we have home health, we have hospice, we have 10 different outside services, right? We can offer mobile vaccine, podiatrist, the dentist comes into the building, sets up shop in the salon. Everything that you could do and get when you go to a big facility, we can now do in this custom built mansion, right? We all have private rooms. It's way better as far as a physical product, right? Because it's not big, it's not massive, but it's also not too small. It's not a 6 or an 8 bed where you have like a garage conversion, right? We have these gorgeous home, all these glass walls that are 12 feet high. And we can beat the big box at their own game. And I feel like that's where a lot of home conversions, where a lot of smaller RELs are struggling. They may have just a mile down the street. They may have this new luxury assisted living that's big and it's expensive. And they're coming in with heart and passion. And they got their 6 or 8 beds and they're priced $2,000-$3,000 less than them, right? Because they feel like they're inferior on their service part. Not me, right? I want to show you, here's the model we created where we essentially are everything that you could get at the big smelly facility, we can do here, but it's in your own private room with a private chef. We have, 24-hour care. We do medications. We do all of those things in this home. And so we've been doing that since 2020. We actually opened during COVID. And there was this difference here. And this is where I kind of want to give it perspective, because in my mind, I was like, oh, we're doing a super REL. And then I expanded, right? That was just the product. Now I expanded to the service, and that allowed us to bump prices and ultimately allowed us to increase net profit substantially. So the last 5 or so years, we've been making about $400,000 a year from that one building net profit, right? Which is, I think, pretty much for everybody. That's pretty phenomenal. And so as we are kind of expanding, thinking bigger, I want to encourage all of you to think bigger with what size deal it is. It's not just a product, it's also the service. And I think that math and the numbers go so strongly with this, with the net result for you, right? Like if you're trying to do this deal, you're trying to get financial freedom and you're trying to get time freedom. So we charge about $8,000 per resident for this building that I just showed you. And that right there, that allows the numbers, that allows the math, right? We have about $120 to $130,000 a month of top line income. So now we have 2 managers full time for one assisted living, right? So if you consider me just one house, one home conversion, I have 2 full-time managers at like 6 figures, right? I can pay for a substantial amount of really insulation between me and the call outs, me and the drama, me and someone calling in sick, me and my chef not showing up. Ultimately, what we have is we have a place, or we have a business that now net profits myself and my wife about 400 grand a year. And we work 2 to 4 hours a week, really, for the last like 3 or 4 years. That's all it is, like 2 to 4 hours a week, because we can pay the best of the best people. We are paying $1 to $2 more an hour for all of our caregivers because we can afford it, because we're literally beating the big smelly facilities at their own game. We are taking the best people, the best staff, and the best residents. All of our residents, they are not coming from home. They are coming from the big facilities down the street. So as I said, we've been doing this for about 4 years, where we're very, very passive in an active business. And that allows me the time to travel with my family, spend time with my kids. My kids are young. We're at every single game. We're doing all this stuff. And honestly, like my wife, her name's Laura, we were bored, right? There was a couple years of like, dude, this is just awesome and boring. Like, what are we going to do? We need a new challenge. And so this, as I'm looking at these things, I'm like, oh man, like I want to scale. I want to do this. Like I want to build more of these. And so as we're looking and my mind continuing to expand and do bigger and bigger things, I want to share with that next. I would say really I really love this. The home conversions, to do a 16-bed home conversion is awesome. It has been life-changing for us. It has been a one and done deal. But I would say the biggest challenges with these, if you do home conversions, is really these 2 things. It is zoning and ADA. Sometimes it makes it almost impossible to do any type of home conversion to, that's that large, to have 16 beds. Most homes, right, they're zoned residential, right? I happen to find something in an unincorporated area where there's no zoning, but that's very, very limited. And a lot of cities won't, have that opportunity. So you are a lot of times are capped at 6 or 8 or 10 or something like that based on your city zoning. And then the next big old challenge there is ADA. I went in thinking like, oh, I'm going to keep the walls where they're at. I keep the bathroom. No, I had to literally demo that entire building and move everything because none of it was ADA compliant. All of my hallways were not, all of my doors were not, my toilets were not in ADA compliance, my showers for sure were not. I literally had to move everything, jackhammer up the slab, move all the piping. And so it's not necessarily very easy or cheap to do a home conversion like that, right? It was a crazy amount of money that I had to spend in order to do that.
We do have a question. Janet's got her hand up.
Oh,
You're
on mute, Janet.
I ran 8 group homes at the same time when I was an administrator. It's actually easier to run several than it is one. What's your staff to resident ratio that you have to run in Texas?
Yep.
I mean, because you have.
Yeah, I'm happy to get there. I got a few more minutes that I want to talk through some of this other stuff. Can we wait a few minutes?
Oh, sure.
Okay, thanks so much. Cool. Yeah, let me finish kind of getting through this. I want to talk to you about my next project here and give you some of the highs and lows on this. Then I'm happy to take any questions on this kind of stuff. So, the biggest thing that I found, and Janet was kind of talking about it here a second ago, was that when you run one, that's honestly going to be your biggest challenge is people, right? How do you handle call outs when you only have 9 or 10 caregivers? How do you handle your chef going on vacation when you only have one mansion or one chef, right? And so from that perspective, I was thinking to myself, I was actually standing outside in the front yard looking at this mansion that I built. And I looked to the left and I looked to the right and I thought, man, what if I bought those houses there? Can I convert those? And I started like looking at the satellite view and I'm looking at it like, no, I just can't. I can't make the layout work, right? And I thought, well, man, it would have been so awesome if I could build my own neighborhood, if I have my own street of these mansions. And I'm like, but yeah, it's just not going to work. It's not really practical. So then I thought to myself, okay, I'm trying to think bigger. I'm trying to expand my mind. You know what I need to do? I just need to build my own neighborhood of these mansions. And so I spent the next year or so trying to find the right opportunity, the right land, the right deal. And I bought 8 acres of land, right? And that's really my vision. How do I build out my own neighborhood of these assisted livings? And so we fast forward now, I want to share what this looks like with you guys. I finished the first phase of this development here, and this is 8 acres. And we build these mansions here. So the street is way back here. This is a very large lot. I have this private road that goes in through here. Here's my first building that I built. That's 10,000 square feet. And then this one over here, that's my second building that I built. That's also 10,000 square feet. So they're all 16 private rooms. They're pretty large, good sized rooms here. They are about 330 square feet. You can see you come in here, you have this vaulted foyer. We have our salon here. So every mansion has its own salon. It has this nice big old sitting room here. And then I'll take you into here into the great room, because this is my favorite. It's like 20 feet high, the vaulted ceiling. Look at the big old glass walls everywhere. It's just big and wide open. And it's just this gorgeous mansion that is designed, purpose-built for ADA, for end-of-life care. You have your own, luxury kitchen right there. Each of our building has their own chef that's in here. I'll show you. This is my favorite spot over here. So we popped in. Look at this library, right? This is kind of like the gentleman's area, a little kind of speakeasy kind of vibe with the dark walls, right? We got the leather high back chairs, all this kind of cool stuff. We got the chandelier. And so I'm trying to design this where, it doesn't feel like a facility. Everyone has their own private room here. And this I've never seen done before. We put a fireplace, it's electric, a fireplace pop out in every single room, right? So everyone has their own private room, built-in closet, dresser, your own bathroom, roll-in showers here. So this is all ADA compliant. Everyone has their own private room. And then all these glass walls everywhere. And then I'll show you one more room. This is my second favorite. This is our garden room. And you see, we wrapped the whole ceiling here in white oak, and we did this coffered ceiling. So this is kind of like the ladies' area to hang out, right? Just a chill, little peaceful spot, very high end. But you can see there's no parking lot. It's a backyard. There's a fence. I hid all my staff parking in the back. There's no red curbs. There's no parking lot. It's just this neighborhood of mansions. And that's really my intention, is I wanted you to drive into this and feel like, you're in this own custom little rich person neighborhood, so to speak, right? It's not a facility, no parking lot, no red curb, nothing like that. And so that was really my vision. I built out so far 2 of these. That's my phase 1, right? So I came in, I built 2 mansions. I did all the site work. My phase 1 cost was about $8.4 million. I raised investor funds of about $1.4 million. So I have an SBA loan of $7 million. I have the investor funds of $1.4 million. And on this, we just opened about 2 months ago, right? So we're filling up now with our grandmas, the 2 beds. So it's two mansions, 32 beds total. It's about $1 million a year in cash flow on this. So we have about $7 million in loan. We already have appraisal of about $13 million. So we have about $5 million in equity. And that's not in the future. That's literally at completion, right? I build the thing, I lease it up, fill it up, and have $5 million in equity. And I'm making $1 million a year in cash flow from these 2 buildings. So this right here, talk about a one and done kind of deal. This is where I'm trying to encourage you to think bigger, to reach for the stars. Man, I came in, did this deal with $0 of my own capital to be able to jump in here. And so we'll run this for about another year or so, and then I'll break ground on phase 2. So phase 2 is 2 more mansions. It's on the exact same site. I already built the whole thing out. I got all the utilities in there. I got to create 2 more buildings. That'll be probably another about $4.5 million to do that. Here's the fun part on this. You build in phases. Because we're building new construction, we are building much less than future value, right? It's totally different than if you're going to go buy an existing building. You're going to buy an existing assisted living. You're going to get an appraisal for it. You're going to pay full price. You're going to pay what the appraisal is, right? We have appraisal at $13 million, and we're building for $8 million, including all of the soft costs and things like that. So we have almost 50% equity built in these things. So that allows me to come back, take the equity I have in phase 1, roll it into phase 2. So I'm going to need down payment for phase 2, but I don't have to do that in cash. I don't have to raise more investor equity in that. I can actually take the equity you have in the first 2 buildings and roll it into the down payment to fund the phase 2 of this. So that's where it gets really cool, because now I've already spent most of the money on phase 1. I got all the land, I have all the earthwork and utilities and everything done. I actually only have to spend a couple $1 million more to finish the project. And I'm more than doubling my income. So as I build out phase 2 now, we have a cash flow of about $2.2 million per year, right? For these buildings. So it'll be 64 beds. Again, all the same kind of building. They're all 16 private rooms, about 10,000 square feet each. And so this is my big deal, right? I grew into this deal, and this is kind of what I'm encouraging you to step a little bit out of your comfort zone, to think bigger on these kind of things. I will sell this, maybe in about another 8 years or so, and I'd say this is probably a 10-year exit play. We'll look to sell this for about $30 million, right? And we'll have about $11 million in debt. So that puts us at a $19 million profit on the real estate side. When we sell, we'll get a check for $19 million or so. Along this way of my 10 years of building and operating this, we'll have over $12 million in cash flow. So of profit that comes in from the operations company for about 8 years, it's over $12 million. So you have the 19 million for the sale, and then 12 million on the operations. We will split, myself, my wife, and my investor partner, over $30 million in profit. And honestly, this is not like a syndication deal where we get 10%, 15%. We have the lion's share of this. We're getting the majority of this profit in here. So I kind of wanted to just share that with you, not to come across, braggy or anything on these numbers, but just show I don't see anybody doing a deal like this, going from residential assisted living and expanding your mind past that and doing something substantial and really pushing the boundaries. And I feel like we are, our company, our team is pushing the boundaries on what the residential feel assisted living kind of stuff is doing. So the numbers I know are strong. They're kind of there to, get your attention. But I really think the opportunity for this is for people to come in that are not big corporate, because I don't see big corporate being able to be successful at this. And here's why. I think that the small guy, the family person, the husband-wife combo, they have the advantage here, because what we do, this is not about necessarily real estate. This is first and foremost about taking great care of people. Taking great care of people is about building a team and a culture and providing these systems and support for your staff, right? Front lines as caregivers, your chef, your managers, those people there are making the difference. They're building your reputation. They're making the sales for you. Man, why is it that a lot of the big facilities have 65, 70% occupancy? Because it starts at the top, right? It's all owned by big corporate. There's a dollar sign. They don't care about their staff the way that we do, right? The way that, small entrepreneurs can come in and do this. So I think that if you have the right structure, you can structure this in the right way, you can work with the right banks, you can raise the right money, you can do a very large deal. And honestly, it pushes out the small guys. The small guys can't compete with this kind of stuff, but the big guys can't do it either. It's outside of their wheelhouse. They're not able to come in and do a deal like this because it's so people-based. We're selling love, and it comes with a beautiful room, right? This is not a real estate play. This is how you beat, VC companies, right? This is how you beat the Brookdales of all those kind of things. They have unlimited budgets, but man, you can't hire people that pour into your staff like this, right? That has to be you, the entrepreneur, the business owner. And I think this is where we have the secret sauce. And I want to encourage you, and I wanted to come strong with numbers to kind of, get you excited about it. But I want to let you know, this is really about heart. This is how this business is successful, and you have the strategic advantage with that. So that was, again, this is our deal. We're in Georgetown, Texas, a little bit north of Austin. My wife and I will have 80 beds here by the time we finish our projects, and we'll have 5 assisted livings. And I honestly, people ask me sometimes, hey, why don't you just keep going? Why don't you just keep scaling this across the country? And like I said, I think this is really about heart. I think the owner operator has the best chance of success. You're there, you're local, you pour into your management, you pour into your teams, and you can make, substantial difference. I can't do that. I can't go into Denver and do that and pour into a team there. I can't go into New York and pour into a team there, but I can do it here by me. And so as I built out all of these things and these templates, I'm like, well, how do I help other people do these kind of things, right? So I mentioned a little bit when we were talking about the sponsorship, but I teach people how to do this. I have a plug and play system for this. It's literally from A to Z. You can actually go and build our exact mansion. The person who built our mansions, I hired him. He's our builder. I hired him at our company to teach you and to work with your architect and your engineer and your city and dial in all of the different things. So we have something, it's not a franchise, but it allows you to have an A to Z plug and play model to go and build these mansions around the country. And we honestly have close to 50 teams in I think 16, 17 different states that are building these exact buildings. And some of them take it and make it their own, and they change the skin and they change all different things. And some of them make it copy and paste exactly what you saw on our things there. So I think that's really what I wanted to share, right? I wanted to come at you and just show you, here are people that are doing these. I have a bunch of people who are operating, who are building, and they're making phenomenal money. They're making a difference. They're helping so many people in their community. They're helping them, their families. They're creating a legacy for their kids. And really, that's kind of my encouragement for you all, is to think bigger, to kind of challenge the norm on these things. You don't have to be, stuck with a smaller, deal, a 6, 8, or 10 bed that maybe just barely squeaks by, right? I want to show you a system and everything. And again, I said on the website, like, there's hundreds of hours of content that I have. It's all free, right? You don't have to pay or do anything, right? Just go and learn everything. I really just wanted to encourage you and inspire you to do something life-changing for yourself. So thank you for letting me share. I wanted to get all that out, and I know there was some questions, so I just wanted to share all that, and then we can hit whatever you guys want to hit on as far as questions and things like that. But I appreciate all of your time and attention on this kind of stuff.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So I think Janet's question was, what's your staffing ratio?
So that's a great question. Each of our buildings are 16 private rooms. So we run 2 caregivers 24/7. So further than that, so that's just direct care staff, right? So 1 to 8, there is a chef for each mansion. So they're not doing any dishes, they're not cooking, they're not cleaning the kitchen or anything like that. They're just focusing on ADLs and that kind of stuff. We have 2 managers. So really there's 5 people on the floor taking care of my 16, but direct care staff is 1 to 8.
That's a great ratio. 1 to 8 is doable. You have an awesome model, I got to tell you.
Thank you. I
16
appreciate you.
beds. Here's what your benefits are, is that you already have a sense of community with 16 people. My mom's not going to get lost with one of 165, 1 to 150, or 1 to 50. My mom's 1 to 16. So automatically you have a sense of community, and your staff have sense of community. They're not one of 60 staff members. They're one of 12, so you have some great opportunity there. Plus, when you run multiple buildings, if my mom doesn't get along with somebody in this building, you could move her to the other building. So that's what I found with running 8 communities. And mine were secure dementia care. Sometimes they don't get along. So you could say, okay, let's move your mom over here. Because we had one house that was all sweet little old grandmas that wore pink sweaters and beads. And then we had a man house that ran friggin' like a frat house, But we could do that. We could do that because you have multiple buildings. And we didn't do it all in a community. We did it in different parts of town. Because in Colorado, there seems to be a 5-mile radius around your building that's where you're going to pull your families from. So we had buildings, all over the Denver metro area. And you could say, okay, this building pulls from here. This building pulls from this. But you got an awesome business plan, I got to tell you. And
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been awesome for us.
I teach the administrators class. 16 beds is awesome because you have so many fixed costs in assisted living that if you can spread those fixed costs of your building, your food, your chef, if you can spread those over 16 residents and not 10, you have an advantage right there, I'm going to tell you. So you got an awesome plan there.
Yeah. And just to expand on kind of your point there, right? Like the hardest part is that 10 to 12 kind of bed size, because your expenses don't really go up. What my expenses at 16, it's the exact same as my expenses at 10.
Yep. You have too many.
It's all staff and everything.
Yep. You have too many fixed costs in
is
assisted living. Yep.
Yeah. The difference is just your income. It's an extra 6 beds times 8,000 or whatever your number is.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing some independent beds where they don't go in Colorado? You have a license for 16, but if you can take 2 independent people, you can take 2 additional people and have
Oh, yeah.
18
Mhm.
and they're independent care in Colorado. Yeah.
Our niche is very much end of life and memory care. And there's so many people in our area that have dementia. So it's
And that was my
independent living
love.
people. They don't want to be
Yeah.
around people that don't even
Well,
know
and
they're
you know
dying
what? You
anymore.
have a huge advantage because memory care people get lost in those big facilities. All the doors look the same. They get lost. So that was my love because all 8 homes of mine were
Yeah.
secure dementia care. So that's you have an incredible marketing strategic advantage too, because you're different than the big boxes. And here's where I can place your mom. She's not trying to navigate a dining room with 40 people, you know, and
Yeah.
she has dementia and she can't do that anyway. So you have an awesome plan there. I gotta
Yeah,
say
thank you.
that's great. I've been doing this. Vern, how long have I been doing this? Since like 2002. Forever.
Long time.
Yeah, you have a great you have a great strategic advantage with what you're doing there, Brett. So I got to congratulate you on that. And awesome staffing, because I don't like to see 1 to 10. I like to see 1 to 8 or less. And you actually have 1 to 4 because you have a manager and you have a chef on site. So you actually have about 1 to 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least
Providing the
big
best
logs
care
you
is
counted.
most important.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
So Brett, you're doing memory care, or are you doing assisted, or do you have one house for each?
Yeah, it's all memory care. We're certified dementia or certified Alzheimer's here in Texas. It's different for each state, but we have the mag locks on each of the buildings. And that, again, that really just goes back to that's what is the biggest demand in our community. But we have people who, again, they don't have like an actual diagnosis of dementia sometimes. Sometimes they're just a lot older and, it's kind of normal memory loss, or sometimes they just have, higher care needs. And, it's just, they still need, whether it's 2-person transfer or incontinence or something like that, that it's really either end of life care and they have their cognition together, or it's memory care. But I guess the gist of it is we're solving a bigger problem one side or the other.
Do you know what the average length of stay that they are there for?
For us, it's probably 18 months or so. It's infrequent that we have somebody 6 months or less, and we still have people that have been with us 4 years.
And I remember that you had a pretty good program for building a waiting list.
Yeah. Yeah, we are pretty much always full. We track our KPIs, and I think it's like last year we were at 96% occupancy. Year before we were at 98% occupancy. So, I mean, honestly, we just had somebody pass 2 days ago and sold the room today. And it's just, that's how it is. We have 3 to 4 tours a week. And again, most people with this model, they're coming from the big facility, and it's so hard to give great care when you have 64 people and you have, 4 caregivers. You just can't do it. And so they come from there after a year or two, and they tour us, and we're known in our community because it's all very tight-knit community with home health and hospice and everything. They know who the great places are and who the terrible places are. And they meet with the daughter every single week, and they say, hey, you know what? Mom is suffering. She's getting neglected. She has bed sores. You need to move over here. And so our hospice nurses are our biggest referral source. They go all over the place and they tell everyone who's the best.
And you're not paying any placement fee for those hospice referrals.
No, we rarely pay placement fees.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it is. How long do the hospice typically last?
Well, being on hospice is an advantage. The state will pay for a lot of things. They'll bring in shower aides. They have chaplains. And so, we try and get our people on hospice sooner than later. And so you'll be on hospice for years sometimes. There's a common misconception. It's like the last month or two, right? No, it can be for sure, definitely years on hospice.
Yeah, and he has an advantage because sometimes when you put dementia residents, they're failing to thrive in the bigger communities because they're getting ignored. And you move them to a smaller facility, you put them on hospice, they actually graduate hospice. They're not dying anymore because somebody's actually talking to them, reading to them, holding their hand. So yeah, hospice in secure dementia care or dementia care is not the same. our average in Colorado is about 2.5 years in assisted living. But you probably see that, Brett. You put somebody on hospice care that came from the big box, and all of a sudden they start getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had people go off a hospice and it happens.
Mhm.
That's interesting. Are you charging a community fee when they come in?
We do. We charge a $5,000 community fee, and it's non-refundable. It goes to changing, fixing the room up when they move out or pass away. But honestly, like there's a lot of maintenance that happens, right? Your grandmas, they do not treat your house very well, and they all have wheelchairs and they're have dementia, and they'll run into the wall all the time over and over again, and so stuff gets pretty beat up. So that's kind of where that budget goes to.
That's a
Vern, I
pretty.
have a question for you. Do you see assisted living, the gravy train is after about 85% full? That's where you start making your money, or is it lower than that?
Yeah, maybe break evens in the 85 and 90, 95 is where the profits.
You start making some money?
Yeah.
Because the average occupancy in Denver is about 87 for a
Yeah.
lot of communities. Yeah, yeah.
It's not an easy business, but done right, it's lucrative.
Well, and Brett has it. When you get a reputation in your community, you just made your life a whole lot easier.
Yep. All right, do we have more questions? Come on,
I have
Brad.
one for Brett. Once you get your community
Shoot.
built out in your cul-de-sac, are you going to move to different cul-de-sacs?
So we still have probably a few years before we do anything else on this project. I won't personally do any other properties. I don't want to, well, I mean, again, I'll have like $11 million loan I'll have to personally guarantee. So I don't want to do anything else after that until I consider selling this. But really our focus after we build this is helping our partners with their deals.
That's interesting. Well, you probably got a wealth of knowledge to help everybody. So
Yeah, it's not just me. We have a big team behind us that, we have a marketing director. We have 3 ladies who run all the operations that help our team with that. We have a construction manager. A lot of people that are running my business to help me run my business, help them as well.
well, and here's what you've done. You've created a vision for them. Everybody has the same vision. Everybody, I do some consulting on creating a regulatory compliant culture, and everybody has to have the vision that you have. Even your team leads, your med techs, you're probably everybody has the same vision that you have, that you offer excellent care.
Yeah.
Because you're charging $8,000 a month, which is not cheap, but everybody has the same vision of awesome care. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to your culture and making sure your people are trained right and you remove the bad apples, and then you'll build a great reputation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Any other questions?
Not really a question, but I'd like to communicate with Janet sometime.
I'll be happy to talk to you, Ernest. Yeah, because you're in Colorado. So
Yeah.
Do you have your contact? I think you did put your contact.
I did put it in there. Yeah, I'll follow up with Ernest. He's got.
And I want to remind everybody that you can go to that chat screen and hit what looks like the file folder and save the contact information, save the whole chat. It saves as a text file. So I encourage you to do that and connect with the people that you met tonight.
I have a question.
Sunny put a question in.
Yeah.
Is that you, Sunny, here?
Yes.
You wrote what's the typical cost of one of our 16-unit buildings excluding the land? So I break the numbers down into kind of 3 components when we look at this. So you have your land costs, right, which we'll exclude. And then you have the cost of the building, and then you have all of the site work costs, which are the utilities, the landscaping, what it costs to bring in, connect to the road, a driveway, that kind of stuff. The The actual building itself for our mansion's about $2 million. And so again, it's 10,000 square feet. And so this is from concrete slab all the way up. It's about $2 million. And again, we're in about 16 states. See numbers all over the place, even in the north. You know, in snow heavy areas, it is a little bit more expensive. We're seeing up to 2.3 or so on that. So $2 to $2.3 million for a stick built building. Probably a little bit more if you had to build it in, you know, Florida and cinder blocks. So typically a deal that we like to look for is about, say, $3.5 million. That's total development cost. And so that would be, you know, your land. Let's say your land's 500,000, and then, you know, the building itself. So that's, say, 2 million. And then you have your site work stuff. So your landscaping, your driveway, all that kind of stuff. So call that another, like, you know, say 300,000 or so. So you might have you know, so those three components are, say, your hard costs. They're going to go into the land there. And then you have your soft costs, right? So you have all the loan fees, you have everything you're going to get. We use SBA. So it would be all of the interest reserves, construction lease-up reserves, builder overages, and even working capital, pre-opening salaries. You know, that might be another, say, $700,000. So all of that together is about 3.5 million. That's including kind of safety net. And you hopefully you don't use all of it, but it's all packaged in. And so SBA can do, you know, more commonly, they can do 85 or 90% of that. So you just need 10 or 15% down. So that's, you know, 300,000 or maybe 350 up to about 500,000 as a down payment. And so if you're coming in, you saying, hey, I got these strong numbers, I'm gonna, you know, take care of people at $8,000 a month. And here's all my detailed expenses. You're looking to net profit on a deal like that, probably somewhere between $35,000 and $45,000 a month, right? It comes very, very easy from a numbers perspective to offer a great ROI to investors. So I think that when we team up with people, we're looking for amazing people who have, you know, an integrity, they have experience, they just don't have the assisted living experience. And that's where we come in, we fill the gap on that, right? You still have to be people that can go and talk to investors, and they have to trust and believe in you because of your character and who you are. The same with the bank. They're going to look at you and run your credit and look at your W-2 history and all that kind of stuff. But the deal itself, the cash flow will carry that. And so we can come in, our team behind them, and say, okay, well, I'm a person of integrity. I have a you know, great credit. I have all this kind of experience and background, but I've never done assisted living, or I've never built something, or I've never done the marketing, right? And we can come in and fill those gaps. So I think, you know, kind of for numbers for you, I think that's what it looks like. You don't have to have all your stuff put together. You don't have to be a millionaire. I think that's kind of a misconception that you have to have like crazy amounts of money. A lot of teams that we come in, they're very normal people. We have teachers come in and do this. We have nurses come in and do this. You got to be, you know, people who have your stuff together on paper, and then you have a plan for this kind of stuff. So, do you have any follow-up questions on that, Sonny?
Yes. So we just said with SBA, one can look at 80, 90% loan to value, and down payment about 10% thereabouts, right?
So not necessarily loan to value,
Okay.
but they will lend 80, 85, 90% of the entire cost of the hard and the soft costs.
Okay. Total cost. Okay. So I think where I will now be turning my mind now is how to go about getting that down payment together, and what kind of opportunities there are for one to get investors and or partners or whatever may be needed to get to that threshold that you can then go get an SBA loan. An SBA gets paid, everybody gets paid, and that's how you run a successful business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So on my website, I have a free course. It's a funding course. There's 26 lessons in there, going from the SBA loans to investors and how I structure everything. I would hit that. And Just again,
Okay.
it's on assistedlivingmansion.com. Hit the free resources section.
Okay. So what did you say that website is again?
I'll type it into the chat here, but it's
Okay.
assistedlivingmansion.com.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great information, Brett.
Thanks,
Yes.
Brad.
Thanks. And you are in Georgetown, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. I'll find time to visit you if you don't mind.
I have a
That-
question. What's your break even in people per month? Like your maximum capacity is 16 people. Unfortunately, you can't take care of a half a person. So, do you know what your break even point is in people? Is it 8 people? Is it
Yeah.
10 people?
Let me think about that real quick.
Totally put you on the
Yeah,
spot.
I think it's around 11, I want to say, is my break even if I'm running full expenses, right? If
Yeah.
I'm doing bad, I'm going to start cutting back on certain things and I
Mhm.
can get it down to about 9. But if I'm still paying 100% expenses, it's about 11 or a smidge higher than that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. That's about right. Yeah. Yeah. Because
Mhm.
when I ran homes of 8 people, my break even was about 6, 7, no, 5 or 6 people. So that's about the same. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because you have to have activity people. I mean, you have to have fun going on there too. So you have to have an activity
Mhm.
budget, your food, all that stuff. So okay, I'm impressed that you know your break even by people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Because
important to
we take
consider.
care of people. We don't take care of, half a person for the month. You got to have a break even by people.
Yeah, exactly.
Another question.
Yeah, go for it.
And I think you may have spoken a little bit about that. Zoning, permitting.
Yeah.
Any words of advice or particular approach?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can do my style deal in every single city. There's
Okay.
not, it's different than residential assisted living where, you're zoned residential. So you're usually stuck at 6 or 8, right? A lot of times we do commercial or we'll do R4 or we'll do mixed use or we'll do multifamily. But it's not a solid thing across the country. It's actually city by city. So
Yeah.
I encourage people to go and say, okay, here's the 3 cities that I like. The market research is strong, and go talk to the city planning department and say, here's what I want to do. I want to build an assisted living. It's going to be, this many beds. It's either 16 or whatever your number is. And then let them know if you're going to do memory care or not. Sometimes that will make a difference with the zoning. And usually they'll say, okay, well, because you're doing this, here is the right zoning. It's this, right? And everything in the city's, very black and white. They're going to put you in this box. And so I want to find out, that's my first question. What zoning do you consider me? It might be 1 or 2 or 3 different zoning types. And then my second follow-up question is, okay, what other zoning types can I do that are not inside this box? But if I jump through a hoop, if I do a variance, if I do a special use permit, what other zoning types can I do? Because there are cities that'll let you do 16 for residential zoning, but you may have to get a special use permit. Or they may say, hey, you can do agricultural land. I bought an agricultural land and they said, hey, jump through this hoop, get a variance, and now you can take this vacant land and you can make it commercial. Or you don't even have to rezone it. You can just do a special use permit. So I really ask those 2 questions to find out what it looks like. And just know that some cities are difficult and not business friendly, but the city next door may be super on board, and it might be much easier to go do it in that city.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah. There was a question in the chat here about, is it possible to do my model in California? Yes, it for sure is possible. So you can correct me if this is right or not. We don't have any teams in California, so I don't know this specifically, but I believe 7's the threshold, right? When you hit 7 or above, it's a certain license type. So there's really 2 things to consider. You have your zoning, which is city by city, and then you have your license type, which is the state. So I like to go and I consider from this perspective, you can have a 60-bed assisted living in every single city. If you can have a 60-bed, then there's nothing stopping you from having a 16-bed, right? It's just now I got to figure out what zoning will allow me to do that. And, you know, that might be commercial, that might be mixed use, all the things we just listed out. And that is different than the license type, right? So the license type is, again, I believe in California, it's if you're at 7 or more, you have a different license type than if you have 6 or less. So now you have to jump through those hoops. And I think it is for sure worth it to do those things. I mean, just think about, you know, in California, there's so many 6 beds. Think about that. Like there's essentially a barrier to entry. You're making it that much harder. You're actually cutting so much competition out of that. If you can come in and build a 16 bed in California and you find commercial zoning for it, man, how many 16 beds are in California? Like almost none, right? You have either 60 bed or 6 bed, right? If you can come in, there's a huge sweet spot there. But you know why people are not doing it? It's because it's honestly, it's hard in that state, right? Like to go and get that license, it's going to take extra time. Land's expensive there, all those kind of things. So to be fair, I moved out of California to Texas to start my business, but I know that it is possible there. It's just, there's just extra challenges.
Helen has her hand raised.
Yeah, I
What
just
is
want
up?
to say something about California, because
Yeah.
I'm in California. So residential 6 and under, so you
Uh-huh.
don't need permit anything to do that. But it definitely is, like you said, totally possible. You get, you know, conditional use permit or get commercial, but you want to do 15, not 16, because
Okay.
it's the same license type, but then the staffing requirements or like it's just a little different. Like 16 above, it requires which I forgot exactly, probably like at minimum like 2 awake staff at night, things like that. And which, you know, you plan on doing that, that's probably okay. But then if you do 16, might as well do 30. You know, actually that's one thing I have in mind is that down the line I plan to build. I want to do 2 16 beds connected. So
Nice.
basically they all the same
Mhm.
thing, but then they have a central connect area, and then that's under one license. So yeah, if you do 15 and under, it's the one requirement, and then above that, another requirement.
You really have to
Yeah.
look at your state license, because in Colorado, if you go over 19 beds, you have to have a commercial kitchen, which is like you got to have this whole French fry stupid thing going on. And so, Helen, if you did that in Colorado and you did 2 16 beds and you connected them, you now fall under commercial kitchen. So you want to watch your local regs, because you know, 16 and under in Colorado is residential still, but 19 is commercial kitchen status, which now you just cost yourself a lot of money. And now you actually have retail, you have the same kitchen as a restaurant in Colorado if you do over 19 beds. So just because you connected those 2 little homes, you just went over your threshold in Colorado. So you have a good point there. Check your local regulations on the bed size, because it's different from state to state. Some places are 8 beds and under or group homes, some are 10, some are 4. It's craziness.
People
Yeah.
will be coming to the house for you guys to sign tomorrow morning. Okay, so I need.
So Brett, quick question. What is your night
Mhm.
staff ratio?
Oh, it's all the same. We run 2 caregivers 24/7. They are awake. In Texas, you do have to have awake staff. But yeah, we have our ladies, they're awake all night. They do rounds every 2 hours. They clean the house, they clean, you know, all the common areas and everything, but you know, they're usually done with that by about 2-3 hours, and then they kind of chill the last 4 or 5 hours of the shift.
Hmm.
You know who that shift is tractable for? Students. They can do their homework.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, any other questions? Going once. All right. Well, Brett, thank you again for sharing.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
It's always, you always do such a great job. We're thrilled to have you here. And we wrap this up with a haves and wants. So if anybody has or want anything from the group, This is an opportunity to express it to everybody. Do we have anybody with a have or a want? Jana?
I'll do two. Cala would like to get Ernest to be a member of Cala because he's in Colorado and we are doing some awesome things, but we need your membership because your membership helps pay for our lobbyists that get stuff done. And my other want is for my own classes. If you want to take my classes here in Colorado, Ernest, before you run an assisted living, you need to know what it is like to be the administrator. So I would invite you to take the administrator's class, which is by Zoom. And I will show you I start my classes from the beginning. Here's how to organize your business. Here's how to organize your home. Here's how to hire staff. And here's how to move in your residence. So I invite Ernest or anybody else that wants to take my classes in Colorado to sign up through Cala. Cala is the host of those classes, but I'm the instructor.
Did you get my info?
I did get your info. I'm calling you. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see anything about your info in the chat, but that's why I asked if you got mine so
Yeah.
that you can contact
Yep.
me.
I'll follow up with you. Yeah.
All right. Not a rush. You don't have to do it tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Janet's info is in there, Ernest. If
Yeah.
you download
Yeah.
the text, it's
Yeah.
toward the top.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thank you for your time and attention.
Well, thank you, Brett, for your presentation tonight. You inspire other people to do great things. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to, and I really hope that's what I do is just everybody think a little bigger.
I would agree. I think it's working. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for showing up tonight. We appreciate it. I hope you got something out of this. And we will end up putting this on the Dollar website as a recording. So if you ever want to go back and catch up on it, and what did he say? You can go back there. It's under the event page typically. And we will see you all next month.
Thank you.
very much.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.